not being complacent, okay? Not being complacent is is uh is what we must uphold. The value of excellence, the value of resilience, and the value of integrity. I am 100% supporting this. And I believe uh we should what they call this, respond to this call. I know being a teacher, okay, being a teacher is not a walk in the park. It's not an easy task. It's quite demanding. It's really a rocket science. We are not just holding a chalk, an eraser, book, lesson plans, a whole day of nonstop talking at present, virtually teaching our courses so that our students will learn something about this. We don't teach mechanically, remember that, but we transform lives. We as educators must be agents of social transformation. And part of it is teaching our pupils, our students rather, to become socially responsive. But the question is, how are we going to do that? What powerful weapon that we can utilize to fulfill our duty as a teacher, as an educator? Being a teacher is also addressing social issues, and I think it's part of our job. It is part of the journey that we are taking right now, preparing our students for their future, preparing our students to become socially responsible is the reason why we are here. But again and again and again, the question is, how are we going to do that? How can we make that successful? You know what? We cannot negate the fact that the Philippines is not yet ready for the online distance learning. The Philippine educational system has a lot of things to improve, has a lot of loopholes that we need to address. But still, I'm hoping for the Philippines, most especially, okay, when it comes to education. We are not the poorest country, remember that. Therefore, hope is still there. The mere fact, but then again, what is the real problem? What might be the problem? Why we are experiencing this in our educational system? The I know you have an idea. We all have an idea on how to address these issues, right? The mere fact that our students are coming to school, remember this, the mere fact that you see your students logging in, joining your meeting, submitting their modules, it means they trust us. They are seeking for a help to understand the world, to have a wider perspective of life. And so please do not give up on them. With those eyes, look at the picture. Look at the eyes of these students. You can see that there's suffering. You can see with those eyes there's disappointment. With those eyes, or with these eyes, or rather, there is battle of good and evil, and there is a thrive, there is a longing for, there is a thirst for knowledge. But then again, the question is, how can we achieve? How can we help these students who are depending their future onto us? We are the only individuals whom I think can clear the atmosphere and set aside these predicaments. As educators, we have the capacity to reform our instruction. Again, we have the capacity to reform our instruction, our organization, or in general, the educational system. It is with utmost importance to uphold our obligation towards education. But the question again is, how are we going to reform our classroom instruction? Yes, classroom instruction, only the classroom instruction, only the programs that we have in our school, only the policies that we are implementing in our own school. I know it's very difficult to solve our national problems. But remember, we are teachers. We are teachers. We have the ability, we have the ability to help these students. How many students do you have? You know what? In my current school, I have 150 students. And therefore, I have the ability to change, to reform, to prepare my students, these 150 students. But the question is, am I assessing my classroom instruction, the way I provide quality education to them, the way I manage my classroom, the way I provide projects, the way I provide performance tasks, the way I manifest my instruction to them? If what I am saying right now is purely what they call this, thoughts, ideas, I think it's not possible for us to achieve whatever we are looking for, whatever we are envisioning. I am initially pointing out such an arduous and tortuous responsibility of being a teacher. That is the reason why this is my voice, because I want to provoke you. I want you to go back to your course, Education 101, of being a teacher, and at the same time, school leaders, because I know some of you are holding positions, but this is intentional, because this is the reality. Just a sharing, our organizer or our MC mentioned that I am taking my Doctor of Education, uh, major in educational management, and my classmates are in the public uh, schools, and I am hearing their sentiments. I am hearing their sentiments that there are some students who are taking their masters, they're taking their PhD, their EDT. Why? Because of promotion. Because of promotion. Well, I won't be hypocrite. We are studying because we want salary increase. That's part of our professional growth, right? Because we have our own families to support. But please, please do not forget as well that you are studying, that you are attending this kind of a webinar for you to learn, for you to contribute something beautiful in your current school. And luckily, I've heard the speakers yesterday, and they provided you informative strategies that you can utilize to conduct an action research. And I am here right now to go back to the innermost being, the innermost purpose that we have being a teacher through action research, of course. You know what? The manner in which an individual or an entity responds to a school need is what we must uphold. We must demonstrate both tasks. However, it is also paramount. Remember this. It is also paramount to deal with a wise approach that will encumber our well being, our positive outlook in life. Because otherwise, our ability to foster growth will not be possible. If we are just doing this because It is needed because it is from our supervisor. It is assigned by our supervisor because it is needed for our ranking. It is needed for our promotion. I don't think you are getting the point of being a teacher. I believe action research was defined yesterday. And later on, I would be redefining again that one. Currently, we are experiencing again the most challenging consecutive school years ever, if not all, but most of us. Restriction is present. This unprecedented situation hinders our creative minds because, again, we become sensitive for everyone's mental health and mental well-being. I believe that is the reason why in the Philippines we are having right now the academic ease or academic break. I am not saying, teachers, my colleagues, that we don't need this mental health break. We are human beings. We need this kind of break. We need this kind of break. But again, I want to congratulate you. I want to commend you, my dear participants. Why? Because you level up. You take an advantage. Instead of resting, you make yourselves productive in such a way you are attending a webinar for you to learn, for you to gain knowledge, new things, for you to rekindle your passion being a teacher. And I hope at the end of this 2-day webinar, okay, at the end of the 4 presentation, you will be able to say that I am ready to write, to conduct an action research because I am ready to help my students, my co-teachers, my entire school community. And yes, I'll go back with the statement. We are teachers and we have the ability to change something in our educational system. Again, I am not asking you to address all the problems in your school setting. I am just telling you that you have the ability to change something, uh, 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 something which can be resolved using your bare hands. With that, let me share this video presentation which I have watched upon taking an international course offered by the CMO Inutech Teach on Keeping the Passion Alive. I want you to be inspired by this teacher, and I know some of you have watched this. Okay?
Ito kami magkakapatid. Sabi ng tatay ko, kahit isa lang yung matapos sa inyo, mapulfill ko yung pangarap ng tatay ko. Magsasaka lang ang magulang ko, galing kami sa mahirap na pamilya. Hindi rin nakapagtapos ang aking mga ibang kapatid. So, gusto kong ma-fulfill yung dream ng tatay at nanay ko na kahit isa lang sa inyo na makatapos. Yung nga, nakapagtapos ako, nakapag-MA pa, nakapag-doctorate pa. Alam nila nag-graduate na ako nung college, but they don't know na may honor ako. Yung sobrang saya nila, lahat ng ginagawa ko, sinusupport nila. At very proud sila. Yun naman ang gusto ko yan, ibalik sa kanila. Ano ba yung nangyari doon sa hangin sa loob ng bote? Teaching profession was a second choice. I first took accountancy. Naniniwala ako na dinala ako ni God sa education. Tapos nung nandun na ako sa education, I started to love the course. Ang ganda pala ng course na to. Doon ko siya na-appreciate. Na-in love na talaga ako sa kanya. Hindi ganun kadali yun Finishing a 4-year course, marami akong struggle. Nag-working student pa ako. Naging dishwasher ako sa isang bus station, sa isang terminal. Tapos naging CR attendant din ako sa isang fast food chain. Mas pinalakas ako nung challenge na yan. Okay, are you ready? Yes! Okay. Wala pang sweldo noon ng mga preschool teacher. Volunteer lang kami. Tinanggap ko yon kahit volunteer kasi nandun na yung heart ko sa pagtuturo. Kung hindi mo talaga mahal ang trabaho mo, iiwan at iiwan mo yan. Nakagain ako ng experience bilang isang preschool teacher. I was first appointed as permanent teacher sa Kalangitan Elementary School where I stayed there for 2 years. Iba yung pagtuturo sa Kalangitan. Bukod dun sa daan na very challenging kasi baku-bako yung daan. Pagdating mo doon, naghihintay sa'yo yung mga estudyante mong AITA. Sige, huwag yung palakpak kayo kung nakuha niya. Willing to learn. Kaya doon ko na yung passion ko sa pagtuturo. Yung teaching is not only parang teaching in the four corners of your classroom. It's more of a service to this kind of students. A part of my salary, I purchase school supplies, just to encourage them to go to the school regularly. Wala naman akong ibang may tutulong sa kanila. Aside dun sa pagtuturo ko, dalawa sa mga estudyante ko na may lahing AITA talaga, ay teacher na sila ngayon doon.
Ninong gusto mamasa kanina Yes, Margaret.
Number one sa family. I also treat the teaching profession, the children as my family. So, pag ang trato mo sa kanila ay pamilya, ganun din yung pagmamahal mo sa kanila. Pamilya talaga ang turing sa kanila. Nung nag-start ako magturo, nag-start na rin ako nagsusulat ako ng mga ginagawa ko. It's parang it's a journal, pero mas simple siya sa journal. Nagre-reflect ako everyday. Nakatulong ito sa akin kasi pag nagre-reflect kang gano'n, you keep on improving yourself, your craft as a teacher, at nakikita mo kung ano ka, ano yung ginawa mo ngayon, ano yung gagawin mo bukas. Parang piniprepare ka niya para dun sa future mo. Ano ba yung nandun sa loob ng bote? Anong nangyari dun sa hangin? Uminit. Ang classroom ko, hindi lang yung four corners. Classroom ko ang environment. At bilang science teacher, may responsibility ako na turuan ang aking mga estudyante na mga laga ng kapaligiran. We started the project Basura Mo Boto Ko in 2010 in partnership with the community of Santa Rita. So bawat classroom, bawat klase ay may kanya-kanya representative. So mag-iipon sila ng basura sa kanilang bahay. Pero pinapractice na nila yung segregation. So pag dumating na yung canvassing namin, okay, sama-sama yung mga magulang, nandun sila, binabantayan yung mga basura at kinikilo. Para kang hangin na mainit. Bakit? Kasi ang gaan mong kasama. Upload or delete? Upload na yan! Ay, very good. In 2012, I joined the Metrobank the search for Metrobank Outstanding Teacher. And then from then on, parang nag-shift ako. Mas lalo akong, yung passion ko for teaching, yung love ko sa teaching family ko, mas lalong lumaki. 2 months pa lang akong principal. Tinuturuan kong gumawa ng mga magagandang instructional material sa mga teacher ko. Doon nag-start yung mentoring ko ngayon. Tine-train namin sila, mini-mentor namin sila sa research, sa innovation.
Okay, tama yan ba, Margaret? Okay, dahil tama yan, dinantayang atlong palakpo.
mahirap maging outstanding sa Metro Bank. Eh. Ibig ko sabihin, hindi lahat mapupunta doon. Pero yun lang, maging outstanding sila sa four corners of their classroom. That's an achievement on their part. Kasi kapag outstanding sila sa four corners of their classroom, malaking tulong na yan sa mga bata. Pag naipasa ko yung kung ano yung alam ko, mas namumultiply. Ngayon sabi ko sa kanila, ipasa nyo sa iba yan hanggang dumami ng dumami yung ideas natin. In a sense na yung may ganong mentalidad na if you have your idea, you share, tapos share until such time na ang dami na passionate for teaching.
Hello? May I ask the participant, or the host rather, to unmute my mic? Thank you. It's Albert Dizan. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so I want to be honest. You know what? The video that I have presented is basically my motivation. My motivation before I, what do you call this? Before I write a policy, before I conduct an action research, before I write a certain guideline, I conceptualize a project, because that is my motivation. That is my inspiration. And I hope you could utilize that one for you to be able to make sure we can be outstanding teacher in our four corners of our classroom. Just like what our speaker had mentioned, you don't need to become outstanding outside. Just be outstanding to your students, because that simple uh, action will provoke other teachers as well to become outstanding. Now, this is my question to everyone. What do you envision in the Philippine educational system in the year 2025? Or dagdagan na natin. What do you envision in the Philippine educational system in the year 2030? Could you please type in your what do you envision in our educational system in the year 2030? Just a single phrase or one statement, one phrase, one idea. May I ask our participants to please type in what do you envision in the Philippine educational system in the year 2030? I can give you 20 seconds to compose flexible learning modality for Mr. Noel. How about the others? More digital instruction. Thank you, Sir Alvin. By 2013, Philippines will be very good in research. I also do hope for that, Mom Cecilia, that the Philippine educational system or our basic education will be able to what they call this, utilize the power of research, more of distance learning and digital platform. I think more innovative. Okay, Innov- innovative learning approaches applied, etc. Thank you so much. Okay, uh, my question is, why such vision? Do you ever consider the problems we face in the academy? I think you envision such those statements, specifically the digital information, the digital skills. Okay, because we know that we experience difficulty, or we are experiencing difficulty right now because of the abrupt change of learning modality in our educational system. Do you think your vision will respond to the calls I have expressed a while back, the challenge I have given a while back? Another question is, how will you fulfill these visions, those vision of yours? I have a lot of questions, for I believe envisioning the future of our school is not a piece of cake. It is abstruse, meaning to say it is perplexing. It's quite a demanding task. But then again, whether we manage to find joy in the daily struggle of life and achieve success, it's largely dependent on our ability to persevere through even the toughest adversity without giving up. We go back to our whys. Why we have envisioned such, then our ways would come out, or rather unintentionally. That is the reason why the first part of my presentation is I want you to recall the nature of being an educator, the reason why you are there, because we cannot move forward without understanding why you are here. I just want to share what OG Mandino once said, an American author who wrote the best selling book, I think, The Greatest Salesman in the World, a guide to a philosophy of salesmanship and success, telling the story of Hafed, a poor camel who achieves a life of abundance. According to Mandino, I will love the light, for it shows me the way. Yet I will endure the darkness, for it shows me the stars. I will love the light, for it shows me the way. If you love your work, if you love your work, if you think there is something beautiful after conducting an action research, I think there will be no reason for not to conduct one. There will be no reason for not to do one. Be passionate of your vision, my dear co-teachers, my dear co-teachers, my dear colleagues, my dear school leaders. And let it be your guiding light to endure darkness, for again, it will show the door of success, not only of your school, but of yourself. This time, let's be technical. I want to present one of the SDGs that we have. Because you know what? We have a lot of agenda. We have a lot of guidelines. We have a lot of structures, frameworks that we can utilize to better ourselves, specifically our classroom instruction. And one of which is the SDG, or the Sustainable Development Goal. And I want to accentuate number 4, which emancipates our creativeness and resourcefulness in creating an academic institution that promote a sense of belongingness and a culture of self-growth. Henceforth, integration and involvement are the key ingredients for increasing student retention. That is one of the challenges that we need to adhere to. and promoting success that enable us to attain what we perceive in a classroom setting. This SDG should be our guiding principle why we must conduct an action research. Because I believe an action research is basically uh, giving us something useful to improve us a situation in our school environment. The goal of this discussion is to become more aware of how to solve a problem, or should I say, utilize our capacity to conduct a study in looking for solutions leading to the development of policy. You know what? For me, the purpose of action research is for us to come up with a policy,
Ang dalawa ng
with
posisyon.
a strategy, with a classroom
Right,
strategy
what are
in
you doing
specific
there?
that can improve our way of our uh, for us to achieve the quality education that our students deserve. In the same way, remember, when we develop a policy, it is necessary to go through a rigorous process that includes data collection, data presentation, data analysis, not to mention, these are some major areas of what we will be discussing right now. Remember, when we develop a policy serving as an output of our solutions, becoming guided by rules and regulations will have a significant impact on the organization's overall success. Therefore, conducting a critical and comprehensive analysis of how to do so, as well as ensuring the use of credible, valid, and reliable data are extremely important. Question. You can just answer this on your mind. Who among you here, who among you here, before joining a meeting or before submitting a proposal, submitting a guideline, doing a policy, school policy, utilizing a strategy, conduct first a study about this, gather data first, or compose yourselves, compose your statement, compose your paragraphs very well before you suggest something, before you give your own opinion. It is founded by an action research. It's just founded by a reliable source. It is founded by a practice that is being utilized by others, which gives something significant or impact to the classroom instruction. This discussion will provide you with an overview of the tasks that must be completed with such emphasis on detail and thoroughness going forward. But the question is, how are we going to address those? And I know you have an idea. You have an idea how to solve these problems. But I want to emphasize that being a data-driven organization is critical. But what does that entail in practice? Organizations that are data-driven make decisions based on data, which means they can be more confident that their actions will result in success because they have data to support their decisions. For example, you want to utilize a strategy because you know this strategy could be useful in your teaching, could be useful to the learning process of our students. But the question is it just a manifestation of your thoughts that it is useful without being be, be, before having pieces of evidence that you could utilize? I do not think so. It is hoped that by asking these questions, for example, how will you determine whether it is useful or not? Or this problem is really a problem? What are the things, what are the steps that you need to take when attempting to solve a problem? Or should I say, to improve something in your academic or in your school environment? Our ability to know our role as teachers, school leaders, and researchers, and our role our role as researchers in our school, it gives us an assurance that whatever policies or implementations that we give, that we present in our school, will always be understood by our stakeholders. Not saying that they can solve all the problems, but it can improve something. It can fill in, or it can fill a gap in order to avoid misconceptions about all policies and implementations in the school. I just want to share the 6 steps to successful policymaking. We have identified the issues, select issues and or opportunities and set goals, plan and approach and methods, collect data, analyze and interpret data, and act on the result. Meaning to say, before we tend to, what do you call this? Before we tend to uh, write a policy, this is what I have learned in my EDD. Before you create a policy, you have to make sure it is founded by data. And of course, this data must be concrete and localized. And that for me is the beauty of action research. It does not entail that this research is true, or this action research, the result is true for all. No, no. You are conducting a research even in a small scale. Later on, I'll be giving you one type of action research that could be useful by just merely addressing a classroom setting problem. I have obtained this better data, better policy making from the article written by Mohammed Ibrahim, or Ibrahim rather, Mohammed Ibrahim. He mentioned in Africa, the eradication of poverty is the #1 goal. Sadly, okay, according to him, there's little data to measure the continent's progress. And I think this is basically the problem of Africa since then. For in terms of data acquisition and interpretation, they have limited resources to back up whatever plans they will have or policy they will be undertaking. It is similar to whichever policy we would wanted to push through in our school. If we have limited data that could support our claims, our resolutions, and our activities, I strongly believe this policy will not better the situation. It will not enliven the fact that we are aiming to for success rather, or any progress, most especially among our students. Again, let's go back to this, to the eyes of our students. I think not only I need to correct myself, not only the eyes of the students, also the eyes of the parents. Because we need to make sure, we need to assure them that we are providing quality education by merely doing our best to innovate things, to try strategies, approaches to instill skills and values, information, wisdom to these young people, for them to be able to better themselves in the future, to prepare themselves in the future. And so this presentation emphasizes that having a solution in mind should always be data driven. I have mentioned a while back that you have the passion to teach your students. You have this vision in your minds that you would want to bring, that you would want to see, that you would want to observe in our educational system. But the problem now is, are we extending our hands? Are we doing our part? Are we doing our part to make sure it will be successful, it will be manifested, it will be transpired in our school? No matter what career field you are in or how high up you are, there's always more to learn. That the same applies to your personal life. No matter how many experiences you have or how diverse your social circle, there are things that you do not know. There are things that you need data to back up your claims. Remember, action research will give you the idea, okay, I have a problem. I am aware of this problem. Okay, I have the knowledge or perception about this problem. At the same time, the causes, now I will be conducting this for me to be able to improve, to fill this gap, to emancipate myself, my co-teachers, my students, my parents, or my community from this particular challenge or difficulty. Not only pertaining to technical problems, but at the same time with the adaptive challenges that we are facing. Research, remember, is what propels humanity forward. Having curiosity and a love of learning will take you far in life, specifically the life that we this what do you call this, the life we opted to have at the end of the day. Action research opens you to different opinions and new ideas. It's fueled by curiosity. Why? Because, for example, upon reading an action research, for example, okay, uh, you have the option, you have the power to filter whatever information that we have read. Sometimes this action research, this particular strategy that is being presented in that particular action research might be true, might be possible or not. So you have to be open with new ideas how to twist the strategy that can be useful in your own setting. When you are committed to learning, when you are committed with your passion as a teacher, with the nature of an educator, you are always in a place of growth. You are always in a place of growth. I do not know if you are aware of this particular Korean drama, which is a startup, where a group of individuals, the main characters, decided to create an app for the blind people. It is an app for them to be able to understand the text they are reading through an audio, or should I say, this app helps them read. And I think this is basically what we must uphold as researchers rather. Whether we are writing a comprehensive study or an action research, you must out the accent on the end goal, the output, which is the result part, and how this will be implied to the bigger picture or bigger community. I can still recall what do you call this? What our speaker yesterday had mentioned, that we are conducting an action research because we need an output, and this output must be presented, okay, in our school community, which can bring a huge impact, okay, in the betterment of our educational system. That is action research, okay. Action research is a process in which participants examine their own educational practice systematically and carefully using the techniques of research. And that is why, if you are not reflective about your practices, of your own educational practices in your setting, or even in yourself, I don't think there will be room for conducting an action research. There will be no room for you to grow or to help your students. Again, I will go back to what I have mentioned in the first part of my presentation. We are teachers. We are teachers, at the same time we are researchers. Therefore, we have the capacity to improve the system that we have in our own environment. And I hope that is the goal of why you are conducting a research. That is your goal. In thinking about the purpose of action research, it is helpful to situate action research as a distinct paradigm rather of educational research. I like to think about action research as part of larger concepts of living knowledge. Living knowledge has been characterized as a quest for life, to understand life and to create knowledge which is valid for the people with whom I work and for myself. That's it. That is action research. It is a quest for life, understanding our students, understanding this problem. And then at the end of the day, we don't just understand the problem. We don't just understand our student. We act. We act. And upon acting to this, of course, it leads us to okay, given this, I will be using this strategy, or I'll be writing this policy. And please, again, we must be open to new ideas, because later on, uh, after I provided the steps of this action research, you will see that the last step is still proceed to the next step, which is again identifying the problem that you have encountered using that particular policy. Action research is based on the following assumptions. One, teachers and principals work best on problems they have identified for themselves. Teachers and principals become more effective when encouraged to examine and assess their own work and then consider ways of working differently. The speaker in the video mentioned that he's writing he is actually writing in his journal whatever happened in a particular day or in his day. Why? Because that's part of reflective practice. That's part of assessing ourselves. That is part of being aware, being cognizant of what is happening in our surrounding, given the fact that you are part of that environment. Teachers and principals help each other by working collaboratively. Working with colleagues help teachers and principals in their professional development. You know what? Uh, since this is my first year teaching in an international school, I am a math teacher and my students are pure Chinese, and we all know that Chinese students are good in math, are good in numbers. And yes, I can testify that they are really good in math. And since this is my first time teaching them, you know what? Every week, every month, I always reflect on my practice, on my classroom instruction. I always ask my students, what do I need to improve? What do I need? What do I lack? What I need? What support do I need? Do they need for us to be able to have a meaningful instruction? And from that, I was able to come up with an action research. And later on, I can give you the title or the paper or the policy I have provided not only in my to my students but also to the entire school community. And they are utilizing that. And they are utilizing that. Why? Because I know I have assessed the problem. I have assessed myself. I have asked my students, and then I conducted an action research. And now, from that action research, I was able to help those students who are struggling in learning English, because I have mentioned they are pure Chinese, and then they are learning most of their subjects in English because they are preparing themselves to study abroad, because my students are in senior years, so these are the students who would want to go abroad to study abroad. And we all know that in universities, international universities, they are utilizing two curricula, which are IB and AP curricula. Okay. uh while a school head or a teacher may work alone on these studies, it is also common for a number of school or head teachers to collaborate on a problem, as well as enlist support and guidance from administrators, university scholars, and others. At times, the entire school may decide to tackle a school-wide study to address a common issue, or join with others to look at district-wide issues. And yes, from being a single, from being an individual who conduct an action research, it can be widened by collaborating with other uh, teachers as well, who have who experience the common issue. And that is basically what they call this. That is why action research is said to be a collaboration. Action research is an approach to educational research that is commonly used by educational practitioners and professionals to examine and ultimately improve their pedagogy and practice. In this way, it can represent an extension of the reflection, and at the same time the critical self-reflection, because we are pertaining to their practices that they are utilizing, whether this practice are appropriate. These strategies can trigger or can provide quality education to the students. Action research, remember, is not what usually comes to mind when we heard the word research. Action research is not a library project where we learn more about the topic that interests us. It is not finding out what is wrong. It shouldn't stop there, but rather a quest for knowledge about how to improve. So meaning to say, given that definition, it is basically trying to give us an idea. Okay, there is a problem. We need an action. Okay, we need an improvement. We need an action. We need to mobilize ourselves to improve this particular situation that we are experiencing that hinders our educational system. Action research is not about doing research on. or about people, or finding all available information of a topic, looking for the correct answers. It involves people working together. Again, it involves people working together to improve their skills, techniques, and strategies. Meaning to say, it boils down to the definition that we need to conduct an action research for us to flourish. For us to flourish, of course, our well-being, our holistic selves. Action research is not about learning why we do certain things. I repeat, action research is not about learning why we do certain things, but rather how we can do things better. It is about how we can change our instruction to impact students. It is our way to change our perspective. You know what? Let me share this to you. Uh, it's cliche. We have the notion that people hate change, right? People hate change, or people are afraid of change. But you know what? Upon listening to my professor at Harvard, he mentioned that people do not fear change. People love change. You know what? They are just afraid of their losses, of the things they're about to lose. Because when we change something, it is tantamount to saying we need to lose something. We need to what do you call this? To to get something useful and throw some ideas, strategies that are not useful given our present situation. That is the reason why I understand everyone. If you envision 2030 by having or by prioritizing digital skills, because you know what? One of the skills that this pandemic has taught us is digital skills. The importance of digital skills alongside with the social, emotional, and the resiliency slash the uh, independence of our students when it comes to their learning. Part of the confusion when we hear the term action research is that there are types of action research depending upon the participants involved. And I want to present to you the types of action research that for me we need to discuss, or that we need to consider. We have individual teacher research, we have collaborative action research, we have school-wide research, and we have district-wide research. And even without discussing or defining this, okay, the participants involved with this type of research. A plan of research can involve a single teacher investigating an issue in his or her classroom. That's it. A group of teachers working on a common problem, or a team of teachers and others focusing on a school or district-wide issue. 2 days ago, one of my colleagues, or one of my not colleagues, one of my friends who is also a teacher in another school asked me, "Sir, given I'm conducting an action research and I want to see if this particular strategy, which is giving a 10 minutes exercise before starting my MAPE class, or my class in general, would help them to gain more knowledge or to acquire more information, blah, blah, blah." And you know what? that particular study gives me the idea, or gives me the proof. Okay, action research can be done individually, or an individual teacher who happen to to be reflective on what strategies or one approach he or she is utilizing in his or her classroom. And I think we can do that. And I think that's plausible in our setting. Individual teacher research usually focuses on a single issue in the classroom. Okay, for 5 seconds, please think for a classroom, for a single issue that you encounter in your classroom. I know after 5 seconds, you can pinpoint, you can identify one single issue that you encounter, that you are experiencing right now. Question, question. It is a problem in your classroom. Are you, or did you try to solve that particular issue? Did you try to conduct an action research? Not not merely an action research. Did you try to solve or to look for solutions, to look for something that could improve, that might improve the situation that you have in your classroom? You know what? The teacher may be seeking solutions to problems of classroom management, instructional strategies, use of materials, or student learning. This platform that we are using, teachers may have support of their supervisor or principal, an instructor for a course they are taking, or parents. The problem is one that the teacher believes is evident in his or her classroom, and one that can be addressed on an individual basis. The research may then be such that the teacher collects data or may involve looking at student participation. That's the power of thinking outside the box. That's the power of humbling ourselves. That's the power of trying to emancipate ourselves in the idea that, okay, I can do this alone, I can do this. But you know what? Even it is an individual teacher research, you still have to seek for something, for some data that you could use to back up your claims, your improvements, etc. And I just want to share this one particular project that my department in Don Bosco, which is Mathematics and Technology Department, have came up, okay, based from our meetings, based conducting by collecting data, gathering data from our students and from other teachers, which is the Project Power, pre-assessing the overlooked wisdom exclusive to research-based curriculum. This is actually a project. This is actually a program that we think, okay, which will be useful to improve a classroom instruction, which is basically utilizing the power of research by utilizing a research-based curriculum. And I have I am the proponent of this project. And since I am a lover of research, I would want to utilize the power of research. I would want to utilize the power of research in promoting domain-specific teaching practices that are effective in supporting positive child outcomes. For example, constructing the performance task supported by researches, writing an enterprise project, writing a comprehensive research paper, etc. So this is basically a product of an individual what they call this individual teacher research. Next is collaborative action research. May include as few as 2 teachers or a group of several teachers and others interested in addressing a classroom or department issue. This issue may involve one classroom or a common problem shared by many classrooms. These teachers may be supported by individuals outside of the school, such as a university or community partner. And the project that we have utilized here is basically this Project Excel, which my department and my teachers, uh, what they call this, uh, they integrated their ideas, okay, in coming up this particular project, which is extending corporate enhancement learning. This is a project that will serve as an eye opener for Bosconians to engage themselves to the corporate world and excel with their chosen career. It is basically a trying to give them a glimpse of what profession they are about to enter with, what particular world they are about to join after a few years. Next is school-wide research. It focuses on issues common to all. For example, a school may have a concern about the lack of parental involvement in activities and is looking for a way to reach more parents, to involve them in meaningful ways, or the school may be looking to address its organizational and decision-making structures. Teams of staff from the organizational uh, chart, or should I say school, work together to narrow the question, gather and analyze the data, and decide on a plan of action. Meaning to say, we are not just addressing one particular problem or one classroom problem, one single issue in a classroom, but we are addressing a school-wide action research. And I hope, and I believe rather, some of you already conducted a school-wide action research. And I hope up until now, okay, up until now, the product, the output of this school-wide action research is still being implemented, is still being implemented. And later on, you will know that after the implementation, we don't stop there because there is an evaluation and there must be a next step, which is trying to improve this particular output that we have arrived after conducting an action research. And these are some of the projects that we have came up after conducting a school-wide research, which is the Project RIB. It is college readiness mathematics elective. It gives what do you call this? It ensure quality STEM graduates. DPTI, or the Don Bosco Technical Institute, dedicates more instructional time to mathematics by offering supplemental mathematics subjects that are most needed in the students' advancement in college, not only pertaining to the senior high school students, but what do you call this? Trying to target as well those students who are in the junior high school or in grade 6 level. Okay, because we want to prepare them to whatever advancement that we want to present during their senior high school years, for them again to prepare in their college. Another is the Project Excel. This is actually what I have uh, written, okay, right after conducting an action research about the practice, okay, of my current school, and how the students are being oriented, how my students are being immersed with this kind of department. Because I'm teaching in a public school, okay, in Beijing. Okay, it is a public school, but I am part of the international department. So my students, okay, are pure Chinese. They came from national public schools, meaning to say they are not used to our policies, our practices, because our practices are basically uh, preparing them to go abroad, to study abroad. So our approaches are international. Okay. So this particular project, which is Excel, Extended Collaborative and Engagement Learning, is basically emphasizing that we need to involve stakeholders who contribute to the students' holistic development. The students, teachers, administrators, and even their parents. It is basically championing students' self actualization and preparing them for college. My solution or my improvements are basically founded by these three uh, types of learning: extended, collaborative, and engagement. And why did I have arrived with this? Because I have assessed the situation, and then I conducted an action research, and then from their responses, from my analysis, okay, I came up with the improvements. Even, okay, even what a subject teacher, what a classroom advisor can do to make or to what they call this, to achieve the philosophy of our international department. Next is Project Bukas. Okay? Project Bukas, Education Now, a Future Tomorrow. This is basically uh pertaining to what they call this, to the teaching personnel of Don Bosco Tarlac. Okay? Remember, action research is not just merely pertaining to improving, okay, the quality, what they call this, improving something about our students, but as well as to our teachers. Because remember, we are the means for quality education. So we have also to make sure we tend to grow, we let ourselves grow in such a way we are helping ourselves as we help our students. It is withstanding new normal to foster holistic education in Don Bosco Technical Institute Tarlac through continuous professional development. So as you have noticed, after conducting an action research, the best part of this is writing. Well, I know it's challenging. Okay, action research is challenging, but you know what? It's okay. And there is another
Bahan buli ma.
stage. There's another stage which is writing a policy. And you know what? That's the
Ah,
best
mo ni
part
akong
for
ginaingon
me.
nga kuha no.
That's the best
Isa
part of
kayo.
conducting an action research. It is trying to come up with policy that could help, okay, our school, okay, to achieve success when it comes to the education. The last type is the district-wide action research. District-wide action research is far more complex and utilizes more resources, but the rewards can be great. Okay, issues can be organizational, community-based, performance-based, or processes for decision-making. I think one of the speakers yesterday mentioned the participatory action research, which is involving the community. And I think that is what we need right now. Specifically, uh, we are conducting an online distance learning wherein students are in their own community, in their own houses. So meaning to say we need outside people that could help us to improve or to still uh manifest, okay, quality education. A district may choose to address a problem common to several schools or one of the organizational management. And I think that is one of the many beautiful things or benefits of doing a research or doing an action research. We can collaborate, we can learn best practices, we can benchmark to other schools, to other parts of our community, because we have to uphold this mindset that we should not brag that we can do this, but rather we must humble ourselves that we need the help of other people for us to be able to achieve whatever we envision in the coming years in our educational system. And some of the projects that we have utilized here is the project number. It is basically needed understanding about mathematics to bolster excellence resiliently. Okay, it is developing proficiency in mathematics is an important goal for all students. Thus, this program ensures to upskill and advance the students on their mathematics proficiency through the tutorial, advanced, and remedial classes. You know what? This particular project is being what they call this uh, conceptualized after a thorough discussion with other teachers. Not only teachers in our school, but also my co-teach, my classmates in college, my friends in other schools happen to be math teachers, and we tried to come up. We tried to come up with this particular project that can help us to advance our students in mathematics, in learning mathematics, because we all know that most of the students, their Waterloo is mathematics, and we need to remove that. We need to unlock the difficulty in learning mathematics. And another project is Engage, engaging students with great avenues to gauge empowerment. And this particular uh, project is founded by this saying, it takes a village to raise a child. It is basically empowering other stakeholders, other parts of the community to help us give great avenues to our students, to have networks and linkages to a successful school transformation of curriculum development. And this is basically discussed with the help of our parents, with the help of other principals, other school leaders who happen to have this one vision, which is having a solid community networks and linkages. Again, these projects that I have presented, this type of the action researches, okay, are being presented, and I know you are already aware of those things. But the question now is how. How are we going to conduct this thorough and comprehensive processes which can address the problems that we are encountering in our organizations or even in our classroom? I hope my presentation can give you a little bit of information that will trigger everyone to conduct an action research, for I believe this is what we need to better our educational system. This is what we need to help our visions to be observed, to be transpired. This is what we need to uproot our inner abilities and so of our students. Within all the definitions of action research, there are our basic themes: empowerment of participants, collaboration through participation, acquisition of knowledge, and social change. In conducting action research, we structure routines for continuous confrontation with data on the help of a school community. These routines are loosely guided by movement through 5 phases of inquiry. The first one is identify the problem. Remember, I just want to share this to you. A conclusion is simply the place where you got tired of thinking. Okay? A conclusion is simply the place where you got tired of thinking. When we identify the problem, well, yes, it's very important that we are aware of the problem. And it should not stop there. Okay? It should not stop there. I know we have several questions we wish to investigate. Okay? But careful planning at this first stage will limit false starts and frustrations. There are several criteria to consider before investigating the time and effort in researching a problem. And that is why I want you to be critical thinkers. I want you to be aware of this particular problem. And I want you to say that, okay, This is a problem that I need to address. This is a technical problem that I just need some articles, some wisdom from other people. Okay? This is an adaptive challenge that I need to face with. Okay? That I need to face with for me to be able to 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 identify, to utilize my brain cells. Next is gathering data. The collection of data is an important step in deciding what action needs to be taken. Multiple sources of data are used to better understand the scope of happenings in the classroom or school. Just like what I did, I've asked my students, I've asked my co-teachers before coming up with the project Excel, before rather starting the action research per se. Are the data easy to collect? These are some of the questions that we need to address. Are there systematic? Will the collection be? How structured and systematic will the collection be, and how uh, read, readily available our resources are? Okay? This is basically what I want you to what they call this, to accentuate, to decipher, which is tossing out the unimportant while holding on to the valuable. Okay? Tossing out the unimportant while holding on to the valuable. And basically, that is my principle in data collection. I am just collecting, I am just trying to filter this particular data that can be useful in terms of founding my claims. And there are three different principles of data collection: planning the whole process, addressing the ethics of data collection, and ensuring reliability, credibility, and validity. This time, I would want to focus with this ensuring reliability, credibility, and validity, specifically if you are conducting a school-wide or the district-wide uh, action research. Okay, when we say what they call this, uh, ensuring and reliability, credibility, and validity, it is basically utilizing for me. One of the things that we can utilize is triangulation, which involves examining changes or lessons learned from different point of views or in different ways. Because the end goal of this district and school-wide action research is for us to come up with a unified information or strategy, a unified outcome or policy. And therefore, we need to examine different point of views. It is used to improve the quality of monitoring and evaluating information and to make analysis more reliable. There are many ways of triangulating information. This include comparing different sources of information, applying different methods, and using different investigators. In terms of credibility, we can actually what they call this, we can actually look for, of course, a person who is much knowledgeable about this particular topic. And that is the reason why we need other people to be consulted. We need experts, okay, to make sure our claims are credible and at the same time valid as well. Next is basically analyze and interpret the data. Analyze and identify major themes depending upon the question. Teachers may wish to use classroom data, individual data, or subgroup data. Some of the data are quantifiable and can be analyzed without the use of statistics or technical assistance. Other data such as opinions, what they call this, opinions, attitudes, or checklists rather, may be summarized in table form. Or we can utilize this gathered data for us to come up, okay, this is what my students, okay, perceive about this problem. This is their need. This is the thing I am looking for. And this will be the basis of whatever output or policy that you will be writing on. And you know what? When you analyze and interpret data, it is true that you will have to experiment and try things out for yourself. And you will not be sure of what you are doing. That is all right. You are feeling your way into the thing. That is according to Emily Carr. It's okay to experiment things. It's okay to try things. What matter most is you are open to select what is the best choice, what is the best option, what is the best analysis that we can cater with. And data analysis has four examples or four examples of data analysis. We have descriptive, we have predictive, we have diagnostic, we have prescriptive. When it comes to descriptive analysis, it looks at past data and tells what happened. Diagnostic analysis, it aims to determine why something happened. Once your descriptive analysis shows that something negative or positive happened, it's time for you to figure out the reason. And that is basically diagnostic analysis. And next is the predictive analysis. It is basically predicting what is likely to happen in the future. In this type of analysis, trends are derived from past data, which are then utilized to form predictions about the future. And the last is the prescriptive analysis. Prescriptive data analysis combines the information found from the three types of data analysis or examples of data analysis. Okay? It forms a plan of action for the organization to face the issue or decision, from descriptive and then diagnostic and then predictive, and this time prescriptive analysis, meaning to say you are now providing suggestions or recommendations, and this must be part of the output of your action research. And last, or second to the last, is act on evidence. Do not be afraid. Okay? Using the information from the data collection and review of current design of plan of action, it allows you to make change and to study that change. It is important that only one variable be altered, or as with any experiment, we have to be to take risks. We have to trust whatever analysis that we uh arrived with. While the new technique is being implemented, continue to document and collect data on performance. That is part of the last step, which is basically evaluate. Okay? Never forget to remain a student while you teach other. Remember that yes, we are educators, but still we opted to choose this profession for unending learning. And so we tend to be like students who should not be afraid of learning and trying to know things. But this time, we are learning because it will benefit our teaching, or should I say, it will make our students engaged, eager to learn, and be holistically flourish. Assess the effects of the intervention to determine if improvement has occurred. If there is improvement, do the data clearly provide supporting evidence? If no, what changes can be made to the actions to elicit better result? As a result of the action research project, identify additional questions raised by the data and plan for additional improvements, revisions, and next step. That is the step right after evaluating result. What shall be our next steps? I know you have conducted a lot of action researches. Now, try to ask yourself, Are you still documenting? Are you still assessing whatever policy, whatever strategy that you have arrived in conducting your previous action research? Are you trying to improve on that or not? To end my presentation, I would like to go back with this image showing how dependent our students with us, how they trusted us with their future. And so I hope as educators, we will be able, or we will always be willing to help them to reach their success with all the capacities we have, all the resources that we have, including the utilization of action research that will address whatever challenges they are facing, or should I say, everyone in the academy is facing, including you, including us. Moreover, I would want to accentuate as well that we uphold whatever teaching philosophy. And yes, I hope you always uphold your teaching philosophy. You know what? My teaching philosophy since my third year college is I am a teacher, a catalyst for change. Remembering this powerful statement always directs me to become better and better and better every single day of my life, for myself, for my students, and for the entire community. I hope we end this presentation that we are excited to conduct action research, not because of the money, not because of the financial support of our division, of our university, not because it is needed for our promotion, it is needed for our uh what they call this, ranking, but we are about to conduct an action research, for we are excited to help these eyes of our beloved students who thirst for knowledge, who long for success, who long for love. Again, this is Albert Dizon, your speaker, saying thank you everyone for listening. I hope you have learned something uh, about this presentation.
Thank you so much, Sir Dison, for a very inspiring presentation on becoming a teacher through an action research. So we will now proceed on the open forum or the question and answer. We would like to invite everyone to raise relevant questions on the topic presented this morning. We will try to cater as many questions as we can. You may also directly address your question to our speaker. Just click the raise hand button to request assistance from our technical team. When raising your question, kindly introduce yourself and the name of the institution you are affiliated with. So do we have any question on the comment box? We also would like to inform our participants that attendance and evaluation is already open. And also participants will receive their certificate and the PDF copy of presentation starting on Monday. I can only see positive feedback about your talk, Sir Dizon.
Thank you.
So do you have any concluding words for our participants before we award you the certificate of recognition?
Yes, thank you so much for this opportunity. You know what? Every time I what they call this, attend a webinar, I always congratulate and I always commend my participants. Why? Because attending this webinar or attending a seminar or whatever conference is a good thing, a good perspective, a good behavior. Why? Because we are taking the challenge, we are accepting the challenge to improve ourselves. To improve ourselves. Why? Because we are ready to contribute I hope this is their mentality. This is the mindset of our participants, that they are eager to help, to contribute to their environment, specifically trying to uphold the trying to uphold the sense that, okay, I can now help my students about their difficulty. And again, I would want to congratulate our 100 plus participants who are taking the challenge to grow, to personally and professionally grow. Because I know part of you is telling that you are excited to contribute to your students. Once again, our dear teachers, my co-teachers, my co-researchers, my co-school leaders, thank you so much for always embracing the challenge, the adaptive challenges that we are facing for us to be able to help and be socially responsible.
All right. We have one question here, sir, and who would like to ask, is action research now a mandate to DepEd similar to SUC? From Sir
Okay.
Noel Binavides.
Thank you so much for that question. Actually, sir, I didn't what do you call this? I didn't teach in a public school. Okay, I came from a private school. However, upon hearing the sentiments, or upon hearing what they call this, the ideas or the information from my classmates, okay, it's not mandated for me. They are telling me that it's not mandated, but it's a useful what they call it, and it's a useful action for you to of course to raise whatever rank you have, whatever level you have, and it is being funded. Okay, actually, there is a memo about this. Okay, it's open for all. So it's open for all, but it's not mandatory. Okay, it's open for all. This is a challenge of the Department of Education to all public school teachers, or to all teachers, that they need to conduct an action research to better themselves, to better the quality education they are providing to their students. Okay, and then if this particular action research is being recognized by the division or regional setting, that will be the time that it will be funded. And sadly, unfortunately, this is my sentiment to these teachers who are conducting action research. They are using this to receive monetary funds, or to receive financial assistance. I know it's a tedious task, but I hope we debate ourselves why we are conducting action research. Again, to answer this question, it's not actually mandatory. It's open to all. Okay, it's open to all, but I hope we are able to embrace this challenge by the Department of Education, because at the end of the day, it's for our country. It's for the betterment of whatever educational system that we have. I hope I have answered your question, sir. But I think in state universities, according to my professor in ADD, they must submit, or they must conduct an action research, again, for promotion, etc.
All right. So before we end, we would like to present the certificate of recognition to Sir Albert Tizon. We would like to request our technical to kindly show this digital certificate on screen. So the certificate reads International Congress of Innovation-Based Educators and Researchers Incorporated, and in cooperation with the Philippine Institute of the 21st Century Educators, award this certificate of recognition to Alberto M. Dizon for imparting his invaluable time, resources, and expertise as a resource speaker on the topic Becoming a Teacher Through an Action Research during the conduct of National Action Research Expo 2022. Accorded this January 29, 2022 via Zoom video conferencing, live streamed on POMI YouTube channel and the PICE 21 Facebook page. Signed by Ricky A. Kibinko, Virtual Conference Director, signed by Emijan Indonila Palmani, National President of the Philippine Institute of the 21st Century Educators, and signed by Gilbert C. Magulod, President of iCyber Incorporated. Thank you so much, our dear participants, and congratulations to our speaker. We are receiving positive feedbacks here in our comment section, and it's very, very overwhelming. So congratulations, sir, for a very
Thank you so
inspiring
much.
topic that you have delivered this morning. Participants, see you later at 3 p.m. for our final topic. And this time, I would like to request our technical team for assistance in taking photos of our participants. Thank you and see you later. God bless us all.
Okay, good morning. For our photo ops, so please turn on your camera. So we have okay, so we have 5 panels in our room. Okay, so just keep smiling. So for the panel 1, so ready, 1, 2, 3, and smile. So panel 2, so 1, 2, 3, and smile. So next panel, so 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, so last panel, 1, 2, 3, and smile. And for the last panel, okay, so 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you so much. A virtual clap.
Thank you, Doc.
Ay po.
Thank you, Doc. Salamat po.
Hello ka namin sa mga comment nila, sir, ho. Basta ako tani ang mga heart warming comments nga ay may isa di ako nag-inspire gid sa iyo sa